No,
So that you come here, don't think that you won't get a question.
nope, no good question. Oh, hello, TV land. Who do we have out there? Oh, gosh, great. Allison, Carol, Chelsea, how are you?
Hey,
Daniel,
Michelle.
right, David, Dennis, Kathy, hi, Kathy, hi, everybody, but, and then Robert. Can you all hear me?
Yep.
Yes, good.
Hello?
Yes.
Oh, maybe we can't hear you.
Hey, Michelle, I can hear you now.
And you're showing your face. I see we've got an agent, David, you're a bird. Yeah. Very cool. Okay, did you see a thumbs up?
No, I'm saying they should have thumbs up.
Oh, okay, do a thumbs up, do something.
I can hear you. This is Debbie.
Oh, hello, Debbie. Hi, how are you? Thank you.
I'm good.
I can hear you. This is Allison. I'm sick in bed with COVID, so I'm going to spare y'all the camera today.
Oh, okay. Well, listen, not to worry. Nobody, I mean, I've seen everything over the past 2 years. So, trust you me, the worst one was someone in pajamas in their bed. And I was like, I can't believe this. So anyway, this is going to be as much, or when I say a conversation, Sherry and I see a lot of the same things over and over and over again. So we'll point out, as I do in team meeting, for everybody that joins in on team meeting on Tuesdays, we do lessons learned. So it's an abbreviation of what's happened, potentially, not potentially, it happened that week or the week before. I sometimes go to Sherry and go, what are you seeing, Mo? Yeah. So anyway, what we want to do is we want to be able to share with you things that I think that we can keep you out of the what's the thing? Out of the mud? Out of the
things that will keep the co-op agent calling us to complain about you for.
right, or your client calling to
us.
complain about you. Or you calling to complain about the other, we see it all.
Yes.
Yeah, and it keeps us busy, so thank you. Because you can't have opportunities without conflicts, right?
Correct.
Okay, all right, so what I'm gonna do, we'll go ahead and get started. We're gonna go for an hour today. Jump in, ask questions. If it gets where we need to park those questions, I'll write them down. But we want you to walk away with a whole bunch of confidence and knowledge on how to maneuver in these crazy times. So I'm gonna let Sherry start with these things and we'll just jump in back and forth. Is that okay?
So we're discussing multiple offers, correct?
Oh, yeah.
No, we're discussing.
We're discussing multiple offers. And I will tell you, Sherry, because we work independently and come together as a team and present these things. I've written it down as if you're the buyer's agent.
Okay.
And I've also written it down is if you're the listing agent, different things to think about.
Correct.
So however you want.
So what I want to do to begin with is take the perspective that you have the listing and you are receiving multiple offers. And so I'm going to touch base on contractually how that needs to be handled, not necessarily negotiation techniques, but contractually. So you are the listing agent and you have received multiple offers. You have to have a conversation with your seller, and we do need this in writing, but your seller has a couple of choices. He can choose to only counter back one of those offers, or he can choose to counter back 3 out of the 5 offers, or he can choose to counter back every single one of the offers simultaneously. So, and that is your seller's decision. So you need to get your seller's permission, and it can be an email, that's fine, with how he wants to handle this. Does he just want to counter back one, a couple of them, or all of them? And at the same time, when you're receiving these multiple offers, you have got your co-op agents are calling you saying, are there any offers? Am I competing with any offers? You have to have your seller's permission in writing to disclose if there's more than one offer.
And Sherry, okay, I'm gonna play devil's advocate. This is what I love, that we get to spend this time. Sherry, is it okay to tell them that there are multiple offers when there aren't any yet?
No, please do not. That is a huge ethics violation right there.
Okay.
But if you do have multiple offers and your seller has given you written instructions not to disclose that, you do not disclose that you have multiple offers.
So what would you say?
Say, I'm sorry, but I'm not at liberty to disclose that.
Because my seller
Because
is.
my
there.
seller has, yeah. And you have every right legally to not disclose that there are multiple offers. But your client has to give you that permission in writing, guys, and that is the key right there, is in writing. Because if you ever have a co-op agent lose out on the contract or a transaction, and they come back and say, well, you didn't tell me I was competing, you can pull up your file and say, ma'am or sir, here is my written permission from my client to not disclose multiple offers, and that should shut it down. But in the same token, you've got to have your client's permission in writing if he wants you to disclose, if there's more than one. And he can even give you permission to disclose the prices.
Yeah.
So just make sure, and the very, very first step in multiple offer situations, if you're the listing agent, is to have this conversation with your client. How do you want us to, how do you want me to proceed moving forward? And then let him put it in writing, what he's giving you permission to act on his behalf.
Or her.
Or her. Yes, thank you. So,
We'll let you go with he for the purpose of.
for the purpose of
conversation.
today, thank you.
So I was giving you a disclaimer.
Thank you.
That's good. I
Let me off the hook,
don't
right?
want anybody to be offended out there.
So if your seller says, yes, I want to counter all the offers simultaneously, there is a special step, and write down the special step number. It is special step 632. Multiple counter offers used on, so you're gonna pull up a counter offer form, and you're gonna counter whatever terms that your seller says to counter. And let's say, just for the sake of today, that when we say multiple offers, we're saying you got 5 offers on the table, okay? So your seller does not have to counter each of those 5 offers the same. He can counter a sales price on this one a little bit higher, but maybe this term different, and he can pick this one. And so the offers do not have to be countered exactly the same, but all 5 counter offers have to have the special step 632. And it's a pretty lengthy paragraph, but basically it says that, hey, we're disclosing, we are countering multiple offers. The first accepted one back will be the one that we go binding with. And they even give a number, a fax number, and I would also suggest an email address in this special step and where to send fax back or email back. The only place that you are accepting the multiple offer acceptance back. So you don't have one coming in here and one coming in here. It makes it very clear where they are to send back their accepted. Any questions so far? Yes.
Okay, you know me, I'm gonna, for those who don't know about these special steps, where do you get these special steps?
Thank you.
You pull all these special steps. So Seth Wiseman in the GAR Forms Committee has done a wonderful job of creating many, I'm not sure, I'm not gonna say it's in the hundreds, but many special steps. I pull them from, I go to FMLS for mine. And I go into the forms library. You can pull them, there's either an index you can pull, or I actually pull the actual special step. And it is 12 pages of pre-printed special steps. You should never write a special step yourself without first looking in these to make sure there's not something already pre-printed for you to use.
Good advice.
Yes.
Good advice. There's a lot of special steps in there you'll never use unless you're selling agricultural land, farmland, things.
But there's even special steps in there about divorces and how to handle divorce situations. So y'all, I carry this around with me everywhere I go, because because you're waiting for y'all's phone calls. So I highly suggest that you print out all the special steps and carry them with you also.
Yeah, and to add to that is print out the 2022 table of contents.
Please, yes.
So when we say, you go, what form number is it? Well, we don't memorize
Okay.
F601.
I think Yvette's the only agent in the office that can give me form numbers. She knows her form numbers.
Kudos her, but it will categorize everything based on your brokerage agreements,
Yes.
disclosures. So I'm the nerd that laminates it at the beginning of the year and carries that with
Yeah, I carry it
me
with me too.
because now, if you call me, well, don't call me and ask me the form number, because if I'm out to dinner, I don't carry them with me there. But just have them because you can go down and you can write B next for borrowers, S next
Yeah,
for seller. And so you can really get good and fast at these things.
yes.
Okay.
All right, so getting back to counter offers. So if you counter back simultaneously all 5 offers, then the special step makes it very clear that the first one back accepted is the one we're going to bind with. So let's say that you accept counter offer number 3 out of the 5. Then as a listing agent, it is your job to go back to the other 4 offers and say, hey, listen, we have accepted another offer. Would you like to become a backup? And if they say yes, then ask them to resend their offer with the backup exhibit. And that backup exhibit is form, I've got it typed right here for you. That exhibit is 604. They send that exhibit to you, and then you, in the order that those backups come, let's say that two of the people want to become backups. They send over that, you go under contract, and your backup contracts, you can have more than one, will fall online based upon your binding agreement date. Because you still buying that contract. It's just a bound backup instead of the bound primary. And by your binding agreement date is the order that your backups will run.
And if you, since we're talking about listing agents, you need to give the name, the last name of the primary purchaser, because there is a place in
Yes.
there in the contract for it. And if you haven't turned everything over in FMLS yet to show the due diligence date and the closing date, let's just say we just did this, you need to at least give them the closing date so that they know how long this could be a backup offer.
How long the buyers have to wait around. And I think we did backup contracts.
I think, yeah.
Yeah.
About a week or two, about a month or two ago.
Yeah, we did.
But just, go ahead, Yvette, I'm sorry.
And I think one of the forms says that until that back offer will be good too.
Correct.
So,
Correct.
Yes. so-
And that's why it's important to know. And as a courtesy, a professional courtesy, let's just say you get the backup offer, you need to let them know how everything is going. Be kind,
Yes.
be kind.
And then for the offers that are rejected, there is a form that I wish you guys would use. You do not, and I meant to tag it, but Form F288, notice to reject offer or counter offer. So if the offers that your seller chooses not to go with, please send them, and that's because you're supposed to give notice in writing that your offer is not the one being accepted. You can do that with form F288. All right, contractually. Any questions?
Yes, Sherry, this is Lilia. My question is, okay, if we are accepting one offer, which we already countered and agreed upon all terms, but one that is on the second position, do we negotiate terms on the second position offer at the time when they submitted an offer and when they become a second position, or when it has failed as the first one?
You negotiate that backup offer as soon as you get it, you agree to those terms and you go under contract. You have a binding agreement date filled in.
Okay, so I received an offer that was acceptable for my client, and I am accepting that, but I have 40 other offers, but out of 43 were exactly or very close to each other. So my counter and put on a backup position other two.
Yes, if you ask them if they want to be a backup contract.
Okay,
Backup offers and backup contracts, I think that's what confuses people. Ask them if they want to be your backup contract. And if they do, then have them send that backup offer exhibit, and you go under contract with that buyer. They are bound to you and your sellers until they decide not to be.
And I've seen something interesting that kind of segues on what you're talking about, is that I've seen agents that will say, we would love to, we're accepting backup offers if you're, if your client is willing to offer 460,000, giving 45, they start naming the terms that they will
Yes.
consider. Will that eliminate some? Maybe, but then you're not having to potentially negotiate.
Yes.
So it's kind of
But-
cool. You can,
almost cool, but question is, at this time, I have to have a permission from my client to disclose the price.
Yes.
Because I can disclose terms, but what about the price?
no, you're not disclosing price. You're saying an offer of at least
Yeah.
460 or whatever. That doesn't tell you anything other than they have an idea, but yes, you do have to have the seller's permission.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay?
but I don't have to disclose the current contract price.
Not.
No, do not.
And do not
For
do
the
it.
For the Georgia Real Estate Commission, you're not allowed to do
Even
that.
if your seller says, "Oh, I don't care."
Yeah.
Yeah, you should care.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
So can I back up? When we're gaining permission to disclose or not disclose backup offers from our seller, in what format should we do that?
I mean, I would be happy with just an email with from your seller saying, yes, you've got permission to do this, or no, please, I don't want you to disclose that. An email from them I would be happy with.
Yeah. And you know what, this kind of gets off a little bit, but it's still in the same thing, is I've seen where, let's say we've got multiple offers. That's what we're talking about. And we were talking about, can we disclose? You might want to have a conversation with your seller saying, that's a common question. They'll go, how many offers? Here's my response when I was still selling. My response was, we do have offers, and this was discussed with the seller, and we would welcome yours.
Yeah, perfect script.
Because what happens if you're a buyer's agent and you hear that they have 22, does that discourage a potentially really well qualified? It could be the one you would take anyway. Of course it does. So somebody repeat what I just said.
We do have offers and we would welcome yours.
Exactly. Exactly. Is that not gracious?
Very.
So, okay.
Like
Thanks.
it.
Yeah.
So when you say accepted, the 5 come in, we send that out. The first, so you're saying the very first one that comes in,
back.
so you better be sure that you
When you
educate
send
your
out your
seller.
counter, when your seller sends out a counter simultaneously, those need to be the terms that he or she is wanting to go under contract.
Right, you better educate them
Yeah.
that any one of these,
Come back, accepted, you're.
you're
under contract.
happy.
Yes,
You're not, this is not your favorite out of the 5. Any one of these.
Right.
You're happy if it comes back.
and that's the reason
Well-
why when he or she counters, the counters don't have to be identical in all
Right.
5.
Right,
You're gonna counter per the individual offer,
right.
but the seller needs to be happy knowing that whichever one of those 5 comes back, they are
First.
happy with those terms.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
And don't get confused on the fact that, let's just say they do come back different terms. Be sure and position yourself or your seller self, not to say the first one back. What if the first one back is 100,000 less than what the seller wanted? So they need to, I mean, surely they're not that, that they're not that uneducated that they would do something like that. But keep in mind, you've got to weigh out how these are coming in and what it is. Am I making sense?
So
How many just did you feel?
Okay,
Yeah, cause I
Sherry's
thought,
looks
cause I thought we were out of negotiations at that point.
If you counter offer simultaneously, the first one back accepted, you were under contract with.
Okay, so,
Yeah, so that's what that special step says.
Right.
That you have to include
okay,
when
you know
counter
what,
simultaneously.
I got out of order, so.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
But does it mean that first come back must accept a counter in full?
Special step states that, yes.
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 Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, disregard what I said, listen, Sherry.
Question, what about if this person that they are planning to be one of the backup offers, send us that documentation to the listing agent and the listing agent never return that form signed by the seller because the seller doesn't want to sign until 2-3 days after?
Then you
Why
don't
should-
become under contract till 2 or 3 days after.
Okay, in a professional matter, what should I do? Should I call the agent and say, look, my seller doesn't feel comfortable signing this form? Would you willing to wait for us for the next 2 days, or what is the legal and professional?
I
way
would
to
never
handle
do verbal.
Right.
it? No, everything.
Verbal is the most misconstrued, he
Mhm.
said, she said, that I ever get to talk about. Do not do verbal. I don't even like text, but texts are better than verbal. I like where we can physically see it, where you can send it to us if we start getting into a dispute.
Okay.
Right, yeah.
Everything should be in writing.
Mhm.
Now you follow up, but that's where we're getting the most complaints.
Right, and just speaking, so from a contract standpoint, and shame on everybody on this phone call and everybody in this office that does not already do this. But I don't care if you have multiple offers or not, if you're the listing agent and you get an offer, you should be doing a seller's net sheet for that and putting that in your file. And actually, they're kind of, I enjoy doing them, they're kind of fun. It is form F837. Every listing agent in this office, when they receive offers, should be filling this out and putting this underneath that seller's nose. Especially in a multiple offer situation where the terms on each offer are different and vary. You should take that offer that you got, fill it in so that that net, because this offer could look totally different from this offer, but it may net the sellers the same amount of money.
And you know,
And that needs to be like for every single offer you get, you need to be doing this so that your sellers can make an educated decision.
And
And it's not your, it eliminates your opinion out of it, is what it does.
right,
And it eliminates the emotion out of it. So please, every single offer, whether you're counter offering or not, but especially if there's multiple offers, you need to be doing this.
and I teach that class every 2 months. And I get about 20 people in the class, which I'm thrilled, so 20 people get it. There's another 300
300
that
of
don't
you.
get it. And so shame on you. Don't ever take a listing if you don't know how to do a net to seller, unless they, why would you not do a net to seller? There is no reason.
I cannot think of a reason not to
There
do
is
it.
absolute, and so if my class doesn't have 100 people after this, the next time I teach it, when you call me and go, can you do a net? I'll go, gosh.
So this is a little OCD on my part, but when I was doing in the real estate, when I was selling a listing, I would, even when I was working for a team and we were doing listings primarily, we would do the net sheets for them when we got offers and stuff.
Right.
I got the biggest thrill at closing table to see how
I did
close
too.
I came to guesstimating on what they were putting in their pocket when they walked away from the closing table. I mean,
I love it.
yeah, it was
I
such
love
a
it.
cool feeling, yeah.
And you know, when I teach that class, I'm just gonna quickly tell you, I teach you to, once you get the listing, go ahead and create an estimated net. It's estimated.
Yes.
So if you're gonna put it on the market for 500, and you see by doing your research that the typical closing cost is $1,000, and you know that the house needs a little bit repair, if you'll go down those lines and go, this is strictly an estimate, you know, I'm gonna estimate you're gonna put in $1,000 closing costs. Do you have to take that? No, but that's what it's showing. And I don't say, well, your house looks a little deferred in maintenance, but you know, I'd say, I'm gonna put 1,500 because you're gonna, if you spend it, it is affecting your bottom line at the
And
closing
then-
table
and
or
then-
not.
Probably not right now, just because of the houses they're appraising so much higher than they used to. But there will come a time when the market does shift.
Yeah,
And I can tell you that doing a net sheet has saved me in more than one case where I would do this and they would forget to tell me that they have an equity line
Mhm.
or that they had a second.
yes.
And then they're mad at me because they're not putting in their pocket what they thought they were gonna put in. I could pull this out and say, well, you never disclosed that you had that equity line at community bank or whatever that's tied to the title lien on the property.
Yeah.
And that has saved me several times. And also I've been on listing appointments, and probably wouldn't happen right now, where sellers were upside down and they didn't realize they were upside down. You do the net sheet and they look at the, hey, they're not making any money, or it's not worth their while to sell right now. And
Pay
we
your
are
commission.
paying my commission, and I walked away where sellers have decided it's not the right time to sell because we did the net sheet.
Yeah.
And they did not know that or realize where they were financially in the house without having this net sheet done.
Yvette, do we go over that in the net to seller, just exactly what she said?
Yes, you did,
Yeah.
yes, and now I have a listing that I know, I helped this client like 11 years ago to purchase this property through a down payment assistance with this kind of program on their Cobb County. And I told them when I met with them about it, and they said, oh, no, but it was 10 years that will be forgiven for the 10 years. Oh, really? Yes, okay, let's do this. I did my net estimate to seller, and on the second mortgage, I put it like a question mark, and I asked them, put it your initial step, that there, please. That means that you think
That it's
that,
forgiven.
yes, but that, I am going to call the attorney to make sure they already did the seller's information sheet.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting for the title to see if that one appears in there.
Yeah.
But they know that they said yes, but I said, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
That is so
because you're the
smart.
professional.
Yes.
And I tell you what, I've always done that to seller, but I had I had a closing not me, an agent here had a closing taking place. And guess what? There was a down payment assistance that they become what they call silent seconds. So they don't make payments on them, but they don't go away. There's only one that goes away, and you have to attend my class to know that one. So, anyway, they don't go away, and here they were at closing, and this girl was making no money, and she was going to turn around and buy a house right behind it. It was a domino effect. And they said, what do we do? Well, she said, my professional, all of a sudden you all become professional when there's a problem. My professional did not disclose this to me. And unfortunately, the agent, to even get the second part of her commission on it, had to give away because it wasn't going to happen. Well, she didn't have to, but it made more sense than to have everything fall through the cracks. So please listen to Sherry when she says that really there are real consequences by not doing
the net. Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes, and right now we have a lot of people with delayed postponed payments,
Yeah,
and it creates a huge problem at the closing.
Right. So when you attend my class, I will teach you all the words to ask and say, and you will know when you go through. And you know, some people will go, well, of course I don't have any deferred payment. I've never missed a payment. We don't just just say, I'm going to ask these questions. I ask everybody these questions. So that they're just going through. And if they say no, great. Have them sign something. And it's no. Okay? Yeah, I mean, what's our job here? To protect you all?
To protect our clients.
Protect you, yeah, exactly. Not only your commissions, but your professional image. So it's kind of a twofold. You did an amazing job. I think I'm gonna have just a few things to talk about, but anyway, let's put our hats on as a buyer's agent right now. And so if we are, these are things that I've seen that are no-nos or really can get your client where the earnest money is jeopardized. So we don't want to do that. So never, ever, ever, ever use a cash offer when they do not have the money to do cash, period. Because it clearly states on the contract that although they have cash to do it, they may seek a mortgage, okay? So please, this is the hot new thing. I've seen lots of agents do this, use cash offers, and I'll go, well, does your client have cash? Well, I don't know. Well, you're the one providing the form. Aren't you asking the question? So if you are going to use that as a professional, I would say, do you have verifiable liquid funds, not a hard second, correct, not a mortgage, because if all else fails, they have to come up with the cash. So they get an option, they might get an option depending on what you negotiated. I'm going to stop for a second there because sometimes at this point I start to lose people and it builds on one another. Any questions? Do they have to actually have the funds to do this?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, and on the contract, it says funds will be verified by so many days. Why, if you're a buyer's agent and let's say they have the money, why would you put 3 days?
Why would we not attach it to the contract?
You should. Thank you, Kimberly. You should attach it to the contract. Put 0 days and put attached to it. I mean, you can't write that in there, but just attach it. Don't you, as an agent, want to know that if you've got somebody saying, I have cash, that they have cash? And I'm telling you, they're looking for new agents. They're pretty savvy because they figure, and even seasoned agents, but nevertheless, they're looking for somebody that doesn't understand their contracts because they want to put contracts on properties and see if it will stick. And guess what? It doesn't always. A lot of times it doesn't. So any question how you would have that conversation, what script you would use with your client to get proof before you start doing work.
I was just say, as of right now, contracts or offers are not even being accepted unless we have verified funds with the offer.
Okay, fair enough. If you're working with a buyer, let's say we don't know anything about them, I would have the question first saying, okay, when we find that perfect property, we have to move quickly. It's all quick. Things are going in 24 hours in some cases. So let's have you ready. What type of financing are you going to have? And when they say all cash, say, that's great. Now we're going to have to show proof because this is what the contract says. What do we have? So if you have a question, if this is for real, or if this is acceptable, come to me or Sherry. I come to me because I was in finance, so I know most times. But the other side of the coin is that it's got to have their names on it. We're going to redact their account numbers, and redact just means black out. But it can't be lines of credit. Well, it could be lines of credit, but it's usually checking, savings, mutual funds. It can be a source of things that if I went to my bank today or my financial planner and go, I wanted to liquidate, that it can be liquidated. Hard money seconds aren't liquidation. That there's a whole story behind that one. So
I've also had people
yeah,
I've also had people submit proof of funds in a business name.
Right, okay, okay, and
That's not okay unless you have all your corporate papers with it.
right, exactly. Thank you very much. Because are they authorized to be able to use it? And there are some business accounts that can't go, and I'm gonna give you too much and then I'm gonna take it back. There are just some accounts that can't be liquidated down because it's collateral for their business. So too much to know, but if you have any question, if it doesn't say Mary Smith, 123 Happy Lane, checking savings, if it gets any complicated, just let us look at it.
So Michelle, agents who are making offers as all cash, when they know that it's really not all cash, what is that called?
Willful misrepresentation, willful misrepresentation. Yeah, oh, it's Friday. I said it so many stinking times, I'm tired. Is that a code violation or an ethics violation? Is it a Grec violation?
Yes.
Yes, you are knowingly putting someone in harm's way. You might-
Yourself.
Yeah, well, yourself, for sure, but you are knowingly doing something that to take advantage of another person. It could be, and I promise you.
So this is not a strategy technique to get your
Uh-oh.
offer accepted. Is
No.
everybody hearing that? Because I hear
Yes.
agents in the office, in the workrooms talk about that. That's what they do to get their offers accepted.
Mhm.
And guys, it is so beyond wrong.
And I will tell you this, is that when it happens, your buyer, let's say you're the buyer's agent, they're going to act ignorant. They're going to say you never told them. They did not understand. Remember, when all things go wrong, what do you become? A professional. Yeah, I mean, I've had to fight the battles before. So, okay, I think we get it, right? Okay, so
Linda, I got a quick question for you.
yes,
All right, when you receive the offer and the funds are verified, but it's the parent's name on the funds, and they say, oh, my parents are going to buy this for me, what's the best script to use?
I would say just put that in writing so that.
Or the parents name to be on the contract.
Right,
yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Mhm.
Right, now, if the parents are paying all cash, yeah, I mean, that doesn't happen very often. What I see most, 99 times out of 100, is there was never enough funds to ever do that. Great question. Thank you, Mick. So, the other one is on buyer deals, I see 0-0 in financing.
Mhm.
0-0 is only good if your buyer has just amazing amounts of money. If money is no object, that is my new line. If money is no object, go for it. Because they could lose their earnest money and they need to be aware of that, because 0 days financing is okay. If you've gone to, say, Silverton or Supreme and they have done an approval subject to the collateral. Because in finance, there's two parts. There's the person and their credit and the collateral, and neither one outweigh the other. So you've got to have done at least that to have 0 days of financing. Can you do it? Yeah, you can. Can you do it on an FHA? No, I would not. Can you do? It's usually a very strong buyer. The other thing I see is 0 days of financing. Well, since the property is collateral, that's when it becomes money is no object. So if it doesn't appraise and you didn't do a gap where you say, I'll pay 25,000 more. Now follow me, because this gets a little more complicated. You've offered 360, but it was listed at 330. And you go, I'm going to pay, my client's going to pay that difference. Are we all together on this
Yes.
one?
Mhm.
Okay. First of all, as an agent, should you be showing proof that your buyer could pay that difference?
Definitely.
Yeah, if they're doing a 95% loan, does that make sense? You're
No.
laughing. I had it.
No,
I don't make these things up. No, it doesn't make any sense. Why would they be doing a 95% loan and they
They get 20%.
they
instead
are
of-
gonna come up with 30,000. No, it doesn't work. So if you're take it a step further and go, what if it doesn't appraise? Okay, let's just say they're doing a 95. Now I know there's a factual one. And I had a conversation and said, what happens if it doesn't appraise? They can't do 110% loan. And this is the part that gets a little confusing. So on a purchase of when you've got mortgage, it's sales price or appraised value, whichever is less. So if it appraised for $10,000 less, but now we're just making up something, and they were doing a 95 and they never had enough funds to give the difference to bridge that, does that work? No, you may know it too late, because remember, we're talking about being a buyer's agent. You just spent an amazing amount of time for nothing. And did you protect your buyer in this case and explain? No, you didn't. Now, there are some agents, I hear the conversation, well, the worst that can happen is they can lose their earnest money. Is that cool with your client?
No.
All right, you better, but if you willingly know that this was not potentially going to work, you need to have figured it out. Okay, I know I've lost some people on this one, so ask me questions.
All right, so let's just walk through it.
Okay,
Let's say you have a 95% person.
yes,
They go in at, the house is 330.
yes,
They're going at 360.
yes,
So your write-up should be, we are coming at 360
correct,
with an appraisal gap of
30.
30. Here attached, you will see the funds that are proven, whatever. That
Correct.
they can cover the $30,000 gap if
necessary.
that is needed.
Right, and if they're getting financing, they only get, let's say it appraised at
Right,
330, they
right.
only get to finance whatever loan to value of 330. So
Right.
if they were gonna put 5% down,
So,
that 30,000 did not apply.
right, so they actually need in the bank 45
Right, now, here's the tricky
or
part,
50.
here's the
Oh,
tricky
got it.
part.
Mhm.
Yeah, every bit, little
I have
lights
to
are
write
going
it down.
off. Here's the tricky part. Again, after being in finance for 29 years, I get it. I can go run through these scenarios. A lot of listing agents don't get it. They do not get it. And then if you're that listing agent, then you have now wasted your seller's time if it did not work. Do not assume that the lender, unless it's Supreme or Silverton, and there's other good ones out there, knows what they're talking about. Because I talked to one lender one day about his problem, and they said, well, it was the buyer's right to put 0. And I said, but you're saying it would have never worked. There wasn't enough funds. But they went along with, okay, we'll do that. And it couldn't work if it didn't appraise.
Mhm. So Michelle,
Yeah.
if I'm right, you are talking about the ratios, right?
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
I had that situation.
yes. And please, if you've got questions, I know sometimes I'll talk at a different level and I don't want to leave. If anything, this just gives you, oh, let me think about it. Let me ask Michelle, you can ask Sherry, but that was my forte. Does this make sense? Okay. So if we're working with the buyer, we want to protect the buyer. B, if we're working with the seller, let me tell you, multiple offers, it's like a gamble game.
Well, I mean, multiple offers is not always a good thing. I mean,
No,
it can be
The
very
highest.
confusing and frustrating and it's not always, I mean, everybody thinks multiple offers, but
and the highest isn't the best.
sometimes the highest is not the best.
No, I forget that they're doing no closing costs.
Yeah.
But does it make sense? If you as an agent and you're the listing, and I'm sorry we're jumping around, but if you're the listing agent, you've done your research on comps, right?
Yes.
Be prepared, if you take that $30,000 over, be prepared to share with the appraiser why you thought. Now, how do you do that? You only do it if you've been on that side of the transaction. I mean, when I was in mortgage banking, all the time I go, whoa, this is gonna be challenging. And appraisers will challenge you. So if you've just tied it up, why are buyers doing that crazy money is no object offers? Why?
Just to get the property. And
Just to
then-
get the property.
Yes.
And then they figure,
we can
I will
figure it out.
renegotiate,
Mhm,
right?
because right now is the only way that we can get the property.
Right, so here's someone that's not well versed. If I'm the agent, I'll go, you know what, we keep missing out on deals. Let's just offer 40,000 more because you will have the right to renegotiate. There's usually backup contracts, so good luck on that one.
Yes.
Before we will do that, I mean, in my case, I always call the lender
Yes,
and ask them if I am representing the buyer, okay, and if we offer this kind of price or over the price, this kind of amount over the price, and let's see the property appraised for that, is my client will be able to get this kind of loan?
exactly.
That is one of my questions. If they say yes, then I can go over with them about offering a little bit more than appraisal value.
Exactly. There's some special steps that you can put in there.
And I was gonna say that, guys, there are, of course, you've got the appraisal gap special step and you've got the escalation clause special step. Guys, these are pre-printed for you. You have them in your toolkit. Please do not be writing your own. I had a situation a couple weeks ago where it was an appraisal gap and it was so poorly written that the seller was obligated to sell the house at a price that they didn't think that they had to agree to.
Yeah.
Because the special step was so
Thank you.
poorly written.
Oh,
So make sure that you are using the pre-printed that are on FMLS and that we've given you for escalation clauses and the appraisal gap. But if you're, and that's what touch base before I forget to stop and then you can jump back in. If you've got a buyer and you're in a multiple offer situation and you know you are, and they don't have the funds to give 20, 30 grand over, that appraisal gap, go with option money. Let's say they're putting up 5 grand in earnest money, drop that earnest money down to maybe like 3,000 and then do 2,000 option money.
Oh,
I mean, make sure you understand and your clients understand that they don't get that option money back.
Unless you negotiate that.
Right, but just make sure that they understand what the option money means. But that is $2,000 those sellers get to put in their pocket as soon as you go under contract.
Yeah.
So, and that's one thing you could use if your clients aren't in the position to do these appraisal gaps or these escalation clauses is the option money. Another thing would be to also is zero due diligence and go with the right to request repairs. That comes across to a seller as a stronger offer. And the only caveat I like to do with the right to request repairs is that make sure that your buyer is willing to buy this house as is. Yes, we're gonna try to negotiate things that need to be fixed that are structural or not operating properly, but they need to be prepared to buy the house as is if you're going with the right to request repairs option. But that is doing the right to request repairs over a due diligence period does make your offer look stronger.
So you
And-
go in with right to request repairs and still you have your finance as well.
You do, it's just a due diligence period is in essence an option contract until due diligence expires.
Right.
So during an option contract, the buyer has the reason to back out for any reason. They can wake up in a bad mood and decide to back out. If you go with zero due diligence or NA for due diligence, but doing the right to request repairs, the buyers can only back out if the buyers and sellers cannot come to an agreement on the repairs that need to be made that fall under the list of what the buyers can ask to be repaired. And there's a big paragraph on that.
And thank you for bringing that up. Great idea. Understand, read rights to repairs. It's not cosmetic items.
No.
It is gonna be structural health and safety issues. And if they've disclosed it on the seller disclosure, it can take it off the table.
Yes.
So you better understand how to negotiate with that. The great thing is if you know how to negotiate and the listing agent doesn't, well, that's their problem.
And I was gonna say, I'm glad you said that. If you are going with a right to request repairs to make your offer look stronger, make sure your buyer has got that seller's disclosure in their hands and they looked at it before you submit your offer.
Right.
Oh,
I love talking to Sherry. This is so much fun.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So you're saying, because I'm dealing with all this, and thanks Sherry for setting that escalation clause. I've used it 10 times, still haven't won the offer, but at least it's good. This right to request repairs, I think that would help us. So in the due diligence, I'll put 0 because they're very concerned about the inspection, my buyers, because this is a high price item around 900,000. They're super scared. So if I put 0 in there and put right to request repairs, do I add a special step? What is the special step in that? Because I haven't used this at all.
You're going with right to request repairs over due diligence. Put in A in the due diligence. I misspoke earlier when I said 0. Put in A in the due diligence days because it doesn't apply. And the right to request repairs is an actual exhibit that you're going to check off on page 7 of your purchase and sale that it's attached.
Yeah.
It is an exhibit that you will attach to your offer. It's not a special step, it's an exhibit
It's just, okay, so nothing else. I'll just do that.
that you attach to your offer.
And I could do 0 due diligence, and that just tells that all we are gonna do is request repairs if we still do the inspection, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because they're.
Hey, Michelle, or sorry, it's Danielle. Can I say something? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay, sorry. So, I mean, I'm just, my 2 cents worth, most of this stuff should be covered in a buyer's consultation, right? I mean, and then that way, like the cash and the financing, and they're going with your preferred lender, that way they already know what to expect in a multiple offer situation. So, I mean, a lot of this stuff are conversations you should not be having while you're out looking at houses. Conversations that should already be had during your buyer's consult. That way they know what to expect and they're educated on the market.
Most definitely.
Right, and let me add something to that. Thank you, Danielle, for bringing that up. Is if you're going out, and we've said to get a pre-qual letter is nothing, Zippo nothing. If you look at it, that means nothing. A pre-approval letter may mean something if they're an institutional lender or have the right to underwrite. We talked about getting an approval, but is there, this is my question to you all in TV land, are all lenders equal?
No.
And if you're up against multiple offers, or you're up against a very seasoned listing agent, do you think that they're going to take a letter of more substance coming from Supreme or Silverton, and I know I keep saying that, but a reputable local lender versus Acme Lending out of Tempe, Arizona? Oh, we got a hands up. Is there something there?
No.
100%, it adds value. And I feel that escalation clauses are overused. So that's probably why they're not being won. So if any, I'm actually teaching negotiation and Ignite on Monday. If anybody wants to come in, we'll talk probably about a lot of this stuff.
Danielle is such a great teacher. You'll feel like you're in there in minutes. The other thing that I want to do, and then we'll open it up for questions because we're almost done, is for those of you that are working as the listing agent, and you get multiple offers, and I'm not discounting this type of finance, but is FHA and VA going to be, or Georgia, any of those going to be the same as conventional?
No.
No.
No, they're not. And where is the little hiccup that comes in with FHA and VA?
Appraisal.
On the appraisal.
So, and just real quick, I want to jump in. So if you are the buyer's agent and your buyer is FHA or VA and they throw in that appraisal step, guess what? It doesn't, it means zero. And you need to be able to explain that to your sellers when you're going over the different multiple offers, that yes, this conventional with the appraisal gap, appraisal stipulation that's gonna be done within, 15 days. And then you've got this FHA offer that they wrote a special stip that the appraisal will be done in 15 days. Those do not weigh the same, because in that FHA, that appraisal, you have until the day of closing to get that appraisal back, and you cannot override that with a
Right.
special stip. So just know, as a listing agent, shame on the buyer's agents for trying to sneak their offer in with that in there. But then as a listing agent, you've got to be able to recognize that that does not weigh the same.
But buyer's agents that are non-Keller Williams don't know any better. They think that they can put in an appraisal gap and they can do all of these fancy things and it will have some substance. Guess what? You do not get to override the US government. You file your tax returns on April 15th and you go by what their documentation says. End of discussion. You might be paying for things if you think differently. So do not do it. That was a huge
And it
one.
could be, the FHA offer could be the highest priced one, but it does not matter, because if we run the risk of that house not appraising, we will not know that until the day of closing. And with FHA and VA loans, if the house is not appraised, the buyer has the right to walk
away.
versus with a conventional loan, if the house is not appraised, the buyer has to give the sellers the opportunity to sell at the appraised price. They can't just automatically walk.
So sadly enough, I love FHA and VA. I did a bunch of them, but this is not a really good market for them unless it's in Lula, Georgia, and there's not a high demand, or if it's been on the market more than 30 days, or in this market, 10 days. So just know what your limitations are on those things. And anybody ever use Georgia Dream?
Yes.
Well, maybe not personally, but your client. Okay,
I mean,
good.
one of
You
few of
need
my
to
clients.
disclose that on the contract. So Georgia Dream is used primarily for FHA. You can use it for conventional and VA, but focus on FHA. You need to disclose that, because guess what? There's an additional underwriting time of usually 2 weeks. So when you don't make it and you've got to use a unilateral and you've not disclosed correctly this information, it can jeopardize it. So, all right, last thing I'm gonna say, and then we're done somewhat, if you want. When you're doing as a listing agent, do spreadsheets. The net to seller is absolutely great, but then you can go, FHA, you only use the things that you are going to be pertinent to that one. Write the agent's name, move it down, so that you can have discussions without flipping through thousands of pieces of paper. Because do you have to present the paper to the seller?
Yes.
Absolutely. Don't think that you are negotiating and you're the wizard and you've already figured it out. No, you've got to present paper or at least have sent it to them. And Sherry's gonna love this. In command, do we need to put every offer that came in?
Yes, it is a Georgia real estate law license rule guideline, I don't know what you're gonna call it. But the broker, which is Keller Williams Atlanta North, has to be in possession of every single offer that you receive or that you write, regardless if it goes binding or not. And that is not happening. I promise that is not happening. I know it's not happening, but you are breaking law if you do not turn into command every offer that you've ever written, regardless if it goes binding or not.
Right.
So archiving like old offers is still okay, right?
Well, there's a way to
There's
do
a
it.
way to do it. It's just, I've got to be, if the Georgia Real Estate Commission were to ask, say you got a complaint made on you
Okay,
by an agent or a consumer. And they're not gonna just look at that one address that you got a complaint about. They're gonna look at everything you've done in the last 3 years.
right.
So if they come and sit down at my desk, I've got to be able to pull up every offer you wrote, whether it got accepted or not, every offer and every contract you've ever done, every buyer brokerage agreement, every listing agreement you've ever written, whether they bought or sold. I've got to be able to sit down and pull it up relatively easy for the Georgia Real Estate Commission.
And them that are coming after you first. It's the agents that did not get the
It's
deal.
the upset agents, yes.
Right. And I get those calls weekly, and I know Sherry does too. I don't believe it was ever presented, so I go into command, because then you've got to put it in command within 48 hours. That's not happening. But I go in command and I go, okay, this is the perfect world. I go, yes, it was, because it's in command and it shows that there were multiple offers. They're all recorded in here. Crickets, it shuts them down. They are out there frustrated beyond belief, and they will think of anything to make you or a deal work. Okay?
So
Here's what I would do.
Clean it up. So-
Right.
I would just, I mean, I personally would do under, you've got listing, and then you've got under contract, there's a folder you can make, and you can put in multiple offers.
Right.
And I would do
Okay.
each one of those.
Do
It
that.
does not take any time, because you just name it, pull it in,
Dump
name
in,
it,
yeah,
pull it
dump
in.
in.
You're
Yeah.
doing nothing else.
Yeah,
Okay,
unfortunately, I'm not as savvy with that part of command, the best way to do it, but yeah.
So I'll-
Hey, Michelle or Sherry, it's Danielle. I'm guilty of it, period. So question is,
You're not
do we go back retroactively and try to, all those, or are we just going forward, just try to make sure we do it?
That's your decision, because, they go back retroactively. It's your decision. If we never knew about it, we can't defend you.
Well, and guys, I'm just like, right before I walked upstairs, I had an agent call me on the phone upset because their client, we were under contract and it terminated. We were holding the earnest money. We were the sellers, but we were holding the buyer's earnest money. And the agent's upset because their client has not received their earnest money back yet. Well, I pull up the address and I don't see a TNR in the opportunity. And so I asked that other agent to please send me over the termination. And he sent me over a fully executed TNR agreement with the buyers receiving the earnest money back in November.
Y'all are gonna get your
And
license.
he is, that other agent, after this class, I've got to go down and talk to him and explain why we as in office did not know this had terminated, because our agent never sent us the termination agreement, and why it's taken so long for his client to receive their earnest money back.
Oh, we can't make this
Okay.
up.
And you know what, that agent has a valid, so does that buyer has a valid reason to complain to the Georgia Real Estate Commission about our agent. I would hands down not be surprised if they complain to the Georgia Real Estate.
Sherry, one question. If I receive an offer and then agent corrected the offer, adjusted, should I upload both of them, first an adjusted one or just the last one?
Technically, we only need to see if it's still the same people, same buyers and sellers. Really truly, we only need to see the original, what you went under contract. We don't have to have we don't have to have two. Let's say you got an offer and then you finally agreed to everything on counter offer number 5. We technically don't need 2 through 4, but I like to see it. My preference is that we still have it, only if something ever goes wrong, I can look at the history and find out where it went wrong. And which counter offer was there a mistake or something? So I prefer that they all get uploaded, but legally, we only need original offer and where you went binding.
Okay. Thank you.
Y'all
So
look-
all the offers that I'm sending from Command and DocuSign, they're automatically getting registered, or is there anything else you want me to do for your, for my protection through you?
Offers in command, we're good.
No, they have to hit submit.
Oh, yeah, you have to hit submit or I can't see it.
Sorry?
You have to hit the submit button, submit to MC, that blue button that says submit to MC. You have to hit that or we cannot see it.
We can't see any of your DocuSign.
Right. No, it has
I
to
did
be,
that after every transaction.
yes.
After,
I mean, every offer that I've sent that has even failed, I had to do submit to MC.
no,
Yes.
no,
yes.
no,
Just
no.
put it in there and hit.
Yeah,
I can't
but
see it.
if it didn't get accepted, we don't care, but you would keep it.
You would keep in there and put in the offer, hit submit to MC, just the offer, just so I can see it if I needed to pull it up. But you don't have to do commission tab and nothing else.
So submit MC, the purchase and sale offer. Okay.
Question.
Question.
When you receive, a multiple offers, every time that I receive an offer, at the moment that I look at it, I send it or submit it to my clients by email.
Yes, good.
And then 2 days after, it depends when the due diligence deadline is going to be expired. So I met with my client and I asked them to sign every single offer. But the time and day that they put it in there is different than when I really submitted the first time. See, when I received the offer, I
Right,
send it to them.
Yeah.
Let's say that today is my first day that property is on the market.
Okay.
I receive an offer today, I send it to them.
Okay.
I receive another offer tomorrow, I will send it to them.
Okay.
And then at the end of the day, I meet with them, and I ask them, okay, we received 10 offers. We go over every single offer and I ask them, sign it, but they have to sign not for today or tomorrow until the day that I meet.
okay, maybe I'm misunderstanding. You wouldn't have them sign any offers unless they wanted to accept. her
Well,
offer.
I'm sorry, no sign it, just put an
Acknowledge.
initial, like an
Acknowledge,
acknowledge. That
okay, I
means that they
agree.
review it,
Yeah,
Okay.
put a time,
Right.
the date and the time and their initials.
yes.
So
Yeah,
that's
fine.
mean that
That's good.
if they say that you never present that offer to me, oh, yes, sir, you sign it. But the only
I like it.
issue that I see is that initial and date is going to be different than the real date that I submitted.
I wouldn't worry about that. They still saw it, and you
Yeah.
have a timestamp
Yeah, don't worry
from
about
when
that.
you sent it.
Mhm.
And the other thing,
Okay.
Because not everybody, I mean, like some people do their forms out of FMLS. Some people would use DocuSign, some people are using DocuStar, and there's even other platforms.
Dotloop.
That people are still using to generate their forms. Command is, look at Command as just like a filing cabinet.
Okay.
Is
Right.
that for the office to use?
And as a courtesy, as the listing agent, if you know, and you've had a conversation with your seller, and they go, we really want it to go through the weekend, we'll sit down with you at 5 o'clock on Sunday. When offers come in that way, I would strongly suggest that you respond and say, thank you, the offer has been received and forwarded to the seller. The seller will review all offers, has the intention of reviewing all offers after 5 o'clock on Sunday. That way they won't be blowing your phone up
Well,
all
And I'm
weekend.
glad you said that. So if you've got agents that are sending you offers with a time limit of 5 o'clock on Saturday night, but you know that your sellers are not gonna respond, please call that agent and ask her to resubmit.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
that offer expires, and that's the one that your seller wants to counter. You've got to remember to counter the time limit offer, and that rarely happens. That's the thing that probably gets overlooked the most.
Yeah.
So if you've got offers expiring before you meet with your sellers to counter or decide, please ask the agents to resend their offers.
Okay.
And they can be on your spreadsheet, so it
Yes.
makes it real easy to
Yes.
know what you're doing.
Yeah, pay attention to those expirations of offer dates.
If you use Command, you can set up a smart plan and you can have that canned, whatever you want, plug those people in, hit it all, and then it's documenting you did it. I get calls all the time, Sherry gets calls all the time. I don't believe they never responded to me. A lot of times you're responding, they just fail to pick up their emails. That it's Friday and on Monday, they haven't opened them up. It's amazing. Okay. All right, are we good?
I have a quick question.
Oh, there's
Can
no.
you hear?
That's what.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have time? If your backup offer, if I'm the buyer and I was a backup offer and the time of the backup offer expires because the primary offer went through, as the buyer's agent, do I need to do anything knowing that my backup offer is expired because the primary offer went through and everything?
The only thing you need to do is that I ask is you already be holding earnest money, because with the backup offers, your earnest money is still due into the office per the terms of the contract. That's the one time frame that does not get put in a holding pattern like appraisal or due diligence or finance. Earnest money is still due when you go under contract with that backup. I would send a notice, just a blank notice form to the listing agent and letting them know that earnest money is being given back to buyers.
But we checked, box number C, that earnest money wouldn't be due until we became the primary. And so we never did.
We talked
So
about
no,
fine. When we talked about that when we were talking about negotiations and stuff with backup.
Okay.
Different class, but if that's not been the case, and we do have the money in our possession and we need to give it back to the buyers, then
okay,
TNR agreement, you don't have signatures of the sellers. All you
okay,
have is over a notice, the buyer signs it that, hey, Keller Williams is getting back the buyer their earnest money, and then
okay.
legally release it.
Okie dokie. Thank you.
All right, thank you all.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, let us know if you've got questions.
Thank
Appreciate it.
you, guys.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I do. appreciate
Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry. Thank you, Michelle. You guys are
We'll
awesome.
talk about next month.
Oh, yeah, before we go.
More contracts, please.
Okay, well.
But it's contract mastermind, so what type of contract stuff?
How to make offers more attractive, for sure,
Yeah, okay, you know what?
and stay legal.
Stay legal, that's what we did today. That's exactly, I hope you took it. But do you want us to just see what's happening out there?
Well, yeah,
And then let you all know, so it's what, that way you know what you're up against. How about that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you all, have a great.
Thank you, guys. You're
Bye.
so awesome.
It is so beneficial because I find that I'm having to educate